All right, good afternoon again, Magic fans. Here is box number 2 of 3 that I plan on opening today, or at least sometime this weekend. There is the information. It is completely sealed, as I'm sure you saw with the wrinkles on the back. All right, let's go ahead and get this one started. First pack. This time I'm not going to go through as like I did in the previous video and show each and every single card. I'm just going to go straight to the back and maybe show an uncommon or two, but mainly it's just for the rares. Start off with a Thopter. Oh, and any tokens and lands I might get. Mountain, and then Animist Awakening. It is a 1 and X sorcery. Reveal the top X cards of your library, put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. It has spell mastery. If there are 2 or more instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, untap those lands. So they enter the battlefield tapped, then you untap them. Not too bad. It's like a gen wave for lands. So I can respect that. All the mana acceleration for green, because it needs even more than it already has. All right. First card, Chandra info. Next is a forest. And then the rare is an honored hierarch. It's a 1-drop, 1/1 with renown 1 human druid. And then as long as honored hierarch is renowned, it has vigilance and tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Good use in a 5-color deck. I don't know how that one's going to be played very well or very much in standard, with the fact that it has to deal combat damage and become a 2/2 in order to become, or in order to be able to tap for mana. That's a really weird mechanic. It's not something I've really seen before, and I'm boggled by the entire thing. Getting an info card and a forest, followed by a battlefield forge. First, second of the second one I have pulled so far. You watched my earlier videos of the pre-release boxes. You saw one that I pulled from the Liliana pre-release box. Come on, Jace, give me something good, but Angel Token, Swamp, and Chandra's Ignition. 5-drop sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. That's pretty good. It obviously shows the art from when Chandra actually lit her spark. As you can see, all of the fire exploding from around her, dealing damage to, or destroying and burning everybody else in the vicinity. So that's a really good card. Have your creature deal, uh, get a big creature, so Hydra Brood Mother, Hydra Brood Master, whatever it is, Hydra Brood Master, 6-drop, 7/7. Play that, have it deal 7 damage to everybody but you. Not too bad. Zombie token, Plains, and then Hangerback Walker. It's a double X artifact creature construct. 0/0. It enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. When Hangerback Walker dies, put a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield. For each +1/+1 counter on a Hangerback Walker, pay 1 and tap it. Put a 1/1 counter on Hangerback Walker. So this card is actually really good. It's part of it's one way to get Liliana Planeswalker the turn you play her. So pay your 3 mana, put her onto the battlefield, pay 0 for this, it dies, she flips, you get a zombie token and a Planeswalker all in the same turn. for 3 mana. Black shouldn't have planeswalkers that fast. My opinion. Useless card. Island. And foil. 6-drop 6/6 Deep Sea Terror Creature Serpent. Can't attack unless there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard. So make sure you're constantly casting those instants and sorceries so you can attack with that thing. Nissa's Revelation, 7-drop sorcery. Went over this in the last video. Pretty good. Scry 5. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature, draw cards equal to its power and gain life equal to its toughness. Really good card. Not going to see any standard play probably, mainly for Commander. You can definitely, with the way Wizards design some of these cards, you definitely know which ones are more for Standard, which ones are more for Commander, which ones are good for everything. Thopter Token. Swamp. Like that Swamp. That Swamp is from Innistrad Swamp, but it's probably good in every format. I wouldn't see anything wrong with that. Mizzium Meddler. 3-drop, 1/4 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, change a target of target spell or ability to Mizzium Meddler. Someone goes to, I would say Doomblade or Murder, but neither of those are in Standard right now. Someone goes to God's Willing their creature, flash that in, and they God's Willing that. So you block with your God Willing Mizzium Meddler, and they can't do anything about it. Alright, another useless card. Island. And Gideon's Phalanx. It's a 7-drop instant. Put 4 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance onto the battlefield. If there are 2 or more instants and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, creatures you control gain indestructible till the end of the turn. This shows Gideon in Ravnica at the time, as you can see by the Boros emblem on the leaders, on the Phalanx chests right there, rather the knight chests. And it's a pretty decent card. Instant, 4 tokens for 8 mana. Decent. They're all 2/2, so it's probably why it's as expensive as it is, and the vigilance. But the spell mastery is really where it's at. Give all your creatures indestructible to the end of the turn. That's really good. I'll go ahead, do a random uncommon. Consul's Lieutenant, 2-drop 2/1 first strike renown 1. When it attacks, if it is renowned, other attacking creatures get +1/+1 to the end of the turn. A reverse exalted, really good renowned card. That one will probably see a little bit of standard play. Thopter Token. One of those inserts that I was talking about that just shows you which, you really choose which one you want. And so say you have Nissa, you have this card in your deck instead of actually shuffling through Nissa, so you're not having to take her in and out of the sleeve all the time. Just an insert, nothing too wrong with that. Planeswalker actually is my rare for this one. 3-drop 2/3 Liliana Heretical Healer, lifelink. I was actually just talking about this a minute ago. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile Liliana, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. If you do, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. So gain control of her somehow, flip her, or just make sure you don't kill your own creature, because, well, you would have to kill your own creature, but then your opponent gets the Liliana Planeswalker, which is Liliana the Defiant Necromancer. She enters the battlefield with 3 loyalty counters, as a +2, a -X, and a -8. Each player discards a card. Hers is her +2. -X, return target non-legendary creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. -8, you get an emblem. Whenever a creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. I actually pulled the emblem in the last box, if you watched the video. Then looks like I got a foil. Shadows of the Past, 2-drop enchantment. Whenever a creature dies, scry 1, pay 5 mana. Each opponent Loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Activate this ability only if there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard. Not too bad. That is actually the second Liliana I have pulled so far. So I have 2 of each of the Planeswalkers that go in Mardu. Next, start with the next pack. Thopter token, Mountain, and we will get a Vryn Wingmare. It's a 3-drop flying 2/1. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. I think I was talking about that card wrong in the last videos. I was reading it as 1 non-creature spells cost 1 less to cast, so you really don't want to put that in a mono blue deck or a blue white deck, because that won't help you out at all. Because those rely a lot on blue and a lot on non-creature spells, planeswalkers, instant sorceries to do what they need to do. Another Thopter token, Forest. Ooh, Helm of the Gods. It's a 1-drop artifact equipment. Enchanted equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. Not as good as I thought it was. You have to be running an enchantment heavy deck, maybe a lot of auras. So if you're doing say Rafik of the Many, and you're mainly an Umbra runner. Umbra is a type of aura that was released a few years ago. You can run that and help and boost him up a lot, but I don't see that going in too many decks. And I really have issues with these booster packs sometimes. Right. Nissa info card, Island, and Evolutionary Leap. Great card. Being compared to Birthing Pod. It is a 2-drop enchantment. Pay 1 mana, or pay 1 green, sacrifice a creature. Reveal cards on the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. It's going to be a really interesting thing in Standard, because it's unless you purposefully put a card or put a creature on top of your library with high converted mana cost, or just a really good creature that you want, it's going to be extremely random whatever you get. It could be bad, could be good, all depends on the well, really the situation. 1/1 Elf Warrior token, Plains, and Abbot of Carol Keep, 2-drop 2/1 with Prowess. Great for mono red. When it enters the battlefield, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of the turn, you may play that card. That's going to be really good. 2 mana. Prowess is always, it's getting bigger with each non-creature spell you cast, and you can essentially play 2 cards, have essentially a second draw that for cards that you can play. So it's not something you'd really want to play on turn 2, unless you have a little bit of mana acceleration. But it's a really good card otherwise. On to the next pack. Back to Negation. Swamp. Disciple of the Ring. Second mythic for this booster box. It's a 5-drop human wizard. It's a 3/4. Pay 1 mana, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard and choose one. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. Disciple of the Ring gets +1/+1 until end of turn. You can tap a target creature or untap a target creature. Now the good thing about this, it does not have to tap. So you just pay 1, exile any number of instants or sorceries from your graveyard, and you can continuously do that. That is a really good card. It's, well, outside of the fact that it's a 5-drop, for 4 it would be one of the greatest cards, and everybody would be going after that. But For 5 mana, it's good for what it is. I think it's pretty decent. It does really good for what it is. Elemental token. Plains. Avaricious Dragon. Next mythic. 2 in a row. It's a 4-drop, 4/4 with flying. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. At the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. Really good. Goes really well. Actually, it's Sarkhan Dragon Speaker's emblem on a dragon. Really good. I love dragons. Dragons are my favorite creatures of all times. I have a 5-color for funsies dragon deck built, commander obviously, and it's needing a lot of work. So I'm probably going to build a second one just to play test it against the first one. Next, random uncommon Thunderclasp Wyvern. It's a 4-drop, blue, 1 blue, 1 white, 2 colorless, flash flying. Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+1, and it's a 2/3. Really good card. Almost, if it was a 3-drop, it would probably either be a rare or mythic. For 4, I'm surprised it actually is not a rare. It is a really good card. Info card. Looks like we got another Planeswalker insert. And then next card is Hallowed Moonlight. Great card. 2-drop instant until end of turn. If a creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. Draw a card. Much better than Containment Priest. Summon Gen Waves. It's cheaper. You draw a card off of it, and it's the same exact thing. Granted, you don't get to keep the body, but that is a very, very good card. So happy for that. Just another mechanic that, White is good with. Exiling. White is probably the best exile. Oh, it is the best exiling color. Really good pull right there. Night token, 2/2. Forest. Foil Island. I'm always happy with foil islands. I love foils. Alhamerit. 7-drop, 5/5 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals his or her hand. Choose the name of a non-land card revealed this way. Your opponents can't cast spells with the chosen name as long as Alhamerit stays on the battlefield. Now, he is a legendary creature, so you cannot have more than one of him on the battlefield at any given time. Unless you have Mirror Gallery on the battlefield, then never mind. But he's a pretty decent card. Obviously, we know he is the bad guy in Jace's origin story. Tries to use him for his own monetary gains, but in the end, we believe dies because Jace makes him forget how to breathe. So we know that he is the reason why Jace has no memory. Zombie token next to a swamp. I think that's going to be a pretty good pack. Look at that, a guy has revenged. I'm not too upset about that. 7-drop, can't be countered. Haste, 8/5, can't be target of non-green spells or abilities. Yeah, or non-green sources. I'm okay with that one. Now, if you know, it's a note. It says non-green sources. So as long as there is green in it, so say you have a black-green, something that's Sultai or Golgari, Gruul, Simic, whatever, that can still target this. But he can't be countered, so it's still really good. Night token, another Planeswalker insert. I will set right there. And then Talent of the Telepath, 4-drop sorcery. This was the blue, the promo I got for the blue set, or blue pre-release box. Target opponent essentially mills the top 7 of his or her library. You may cast an instant or sorcery from among them without paying its mana cost. Then those cards that revealed go to the graveyard. For spell mastery, if there are 2 or more instants and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you may cast 2 of them, 2 instants or sorceries cards revealed instead. I'm pretty happy with that one. That's a pretty decent card. It's going to be interesting in a Delve deck or anything that goes along with it. And it says target opponent, so not target player. If it was target player, that would be a much better card, because then you just do it on yourself. Stack your deck. So, just stack your deck. So you cast it in response. You scroll rack, say if you're in commander. Put Enter the Infinite on top of your library. Reveal 7. Cast Enter the Infinite. Win. Nothing wrong with that. Island token. Island land. And then Ember Maw Hellion. Did I get that one earlier? With this one, I did not. That was in the last video. But it's a 5-drop. Trample 4/5. If another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. Pyromancer's Gauntlets, essentially. So, not too bad. That. And then a Plains. Now let's go to the Goldforge Sentinel for the uncommon. Skip the common, whatever it is, or the rare. 6-drop, 4/4 flyer, not too bad. But my rare is a Mana Gorger Hydra, 3-drop, 1/1 trample. I got this in my last box. Whenever a player casts a spell, put a 1/1 counter on it. Really good, really good, really good. That's all I have to say. Triggers whenever you cast a spell, whenever your opponents cast a spell. Just really good. Alright. Info card, Swamp. Displacement Wave. 2 and an X sorcery. Return all non-land permanents with converted mana cost X or less to their owner's hands. So, if you're going against a token heavy deck, you just cast that thing for 2, and there are no tokens on them. You just cast that thing as it is. Don't put any mana into it. There are no tokens on the battlefield. Any 0-drop artifacts are gone. It's actually not as bad as it could be, but it's obviously not the best of cards. Right. Use this card. And then we have an island. Next we have Molten Vortex. 1-drop enchantment, pay 1 red. Discard a land. Molten Vortex deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Not too bad. If you can't take the heat, well, it's going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Soldier Token. Swamp. Scab Clan Berserker. These things seem to like me for some reason. 3-drop 2/2 haste renown 1. Whenever it becomes renown, and you cast a non-creature spell, and your opponent's casting a non-creature spell, it deals 2 damage to that player. Again, I went over this in the last video. Not too bad of a card. Island or Forest. Jace's Sanctum. 4-drop enchantment. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, scry 1. Not too bad of an enchantment. Pretty good for mono blue commanders, especially those that are just starting out. But a 3-drop cryptic command, come on, tell me you don't want that. Goblin token. Mountain. Ooh, foil, Vine Snare. 3-drop, instant, prevent all damage that would be dealt to this turn by a creature with power 4 or less. So you're getting attacked by a bunch of elves, play that card. Alright, next mythic, Starfield of Nyx. It is a 5-drop enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as you control 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its other types, and has base power and toughness equal to its converted mana cost. It's gonna be really interesting working around with gods, because depending on what it is, it may be worse for the god to be an enchantment under that. That's case in point, Erois. God of Champions. It is a 4-drop, 7/4. So it would become a 4/4. So you'd kind of hope you have the devotion, so it's a god under its own terms instead of a god under Starfield's terms. Forest card. And then Kothofed. I'm not going to go over him. I'm actually a little tired of getting him. Ooh, let's go with this. Zendikar's Royal. I'll do this one over Kothofed any day. 5-drop enchantment. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 2/2 green elemental creature token onto the battlefield. That is a pretty decent card. It's pseudo landfall for those that are a throwback to Zendikar, original Zendikar, by the way. Useless card. Mountain. Foil Llanowar Wastes. The black-green Painland. Not too upset about that one. I'll do foils any day. Next we have Thopter's Spy Network. 4-drop enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, put a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Tell me that is not a mouthful. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal damage to a player, draw a card. Not too bad. I would say more useful in limited than in standard, but not too bad. It's really good. All you have to do is control an artifact, so just, well, so that's a turn 2 playing commander. Turn 1 Sol Ring, turn 2 play that. Turn 3 you get a Thopter token that on turn 4 will be able to attack, and you can draw a card off of it. Not too bad. Foil Return Centaur from the Theros block. Don't remember which one it is off the top of my head, but I'm not going to explain that one. Pretty basic card. Next is Goblin Piledriver. It's a 2-drop, 1/2 protection from blue. Whenever Goblin Piledriver attacks, it gets +2/+0 until the end of the turn for each other attacking goblin. It's really good, especially for mono red goblins. Just attack all day long. All day long. Kill everybody, right, guys? Right, red players? I know you like to kill and kill and kill and swarm with your dragon fodder goblins. Dragon fodder goblins. Right. Jace Emblem. Alright. Whenever you cast a spell, target opponent puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Not too upset about that one. Next is a Innistrad Swamp, followed by Knight of the White Orchid. 2-drop, 2/2 first strike. When it enters the battlefield and land taps, you can search your library for a Plains card and put it onto the battlefield. Now, since it doesn't say tapped, it comes in untapped. So unless you have to meet the requirements of the card for it to come in untapped. So for a Shockland, pay 2 life, have it come in untapped. Otherwise, it just comes onto the battlefield untapped. Useless card. Mountain. Orbs of Warding. Went over this one in the last video. 5-drop artifact. You have hexproof. If a creature would deal damage to you, prevent 1 of that damage. It's not too bad of a card, really. Gets around mill decks. Can't really complain about that. Right, useless card. Plains. Tragic Arrogance. The last rare I pulled from the previous box. 5-drop. For each player, you choose from among their permanents, an artifact, creature, enchantment, and a planeswalker. Then each player sacrifices all of the others that are not lands. Not too bad. You get to keep what they want. I think 4 mana it would be a much better way. It would be a much better card, honestly. Soldier token. Mountain. Ooh. Pia and Kieran Nalaar, Chandra's parents. When they enter the battlefield, put two 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. Pay 3 mana, sacrifice an artifact. They deal 2 damage to target creature or player. That's actually really good. Pretty good for mono red artifact decks in Commander. Someone goes to destroy one of your artifacts, sacrifice it instead, and deal 2 damage to them. Say, hey, I'm gonna shock you for trying to hit my artifacts. Kytheon's Irregulars, 4-drop, 2/2, Renown 1. Pay 2 white, then tap the target creature. They are a 4/3. Buddies of Kytheon, those that helped him defend Akros when they were attacked by a swarm of harpies in the story, mind you. Another info card. An island. Grave Blade Marauder. 3-drop, 1/4, Death Touch. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So just mill yourself a bunch and deal a bunch of damage to a player. Because why not? And it has Death Touch, so anything that they throw in its way is just automatically dead, gone poof. Never to be seen again. Alright, Thopter token. Plains. Then Foreshadow Conjuring. It's a 4-drop enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 red. If you do, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy. That token gains haste and exile it at the end of the next step. That's not too bad of a card. Goes really good with a bunch of different things. Riku of the Twin Reflections. It's essentially what that is, except for 1 mana except in 1 mana instead of for 2. Well, I'll go ahead and pause this one, and we'll get the next one going here shortly. Thanks for watching, by the way.